Father, I've got an article here entitled "Two Eminent Churchmen Agree."
Yes.
That there actually is, this is a shocker to a lot of people,
Yes.
that there are satanic practices going on at the Vatican. Could that be true?
Yes.
You want to say that? If I was a lawyer and you were on the witness chair, I'd say, would you say
It's out loud. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Now, when we say in the Vatican, it's at a certain level. And there's no doubt about it that there have been and still are practices that are formally venerating Lucifer, the prince of this world. There's no doubt about that.
The people who are hanging out at the United Nations are just simply, in a nutshell, one word, they're Luciferian.
Welcome everyone to the Best Damn Podcast. I'm your host, John Keane. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Make sure to check us out, Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, make sure to hit that like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, make sure to subscribe, click the bell, that way you guys get all the notifications, and share this link. Help me to get out there, that way new people can find us. Man, I've got such a cool one for you guys tonight. I swear, I don't know what it is, but recently there has been so much shit going on. There is no shortage of, things for us to talk about for videos like this. We have Trump recently been indicted. Today he pled not guilty. I've got the PDF. I've got the documents. We're going to take a look at that. The World Economic Forum, just another meeting that they've had recently. Bringing in more things in the name of security. We can expect this now on a global scale. We're going to be preparing for future pandemics, probably from now until forever. We also have a lot more developments when it comes to what's taking place, between Russia and China and Taiwan. Iran now getting nuclear weapons or larger nuclear missiles. Things all across the globe right now appear to be spiraling out of control to some, but I think for those that are aware, those that are kind of in tune with what's going on, I feel like we all kind of know deep down that this is part of the process, that, as humans, sometimes we have to have experiences that we don't really care for to let us know that that's not the direction we want to go. And I hope when we look at what we would call the apocalypse, which just means revealing. And I think many people would agree that we're in that time right now, a time of great revealing, a time of revelation, a time where humanity itself is becoming more self-aware. We're becoming more aware of our connectedness and our effect into the world and the things that we're doing. Whether it's artificial intelligence and the way that it's developing, and technology, and can we keep up consciously with what's taking place? Are we ready to kind of take the next step in human transformation? We're going to start here. The World Economic Forum is always at the front of the news now. They basically call the shots, right? We see after the transition from COVID-19 that we've now went into a global society. And I think a lot of people see that was the agenda, right? With COVID-19 and the Great Reset and all of that, it was to show you that everything was already in place to create this interconnected system, this global scaled governance. And we've seen the framework for years, right? Undermining nationalism, undermining populism, bringing in and undermining democracy at that, right? Bringing in this kind of socialist structured system based on technology, credit scores, where computers are making all the decisions and humans are kind of taking out of the equation. We see this melting pot of all the religions being brought together, which we now see what direction that is going to be heading in, right? As we see this trans agenda where our gender can be whatever we want it to be. our, religions now can be whatever we want it to be, and it can be us worshiping AI gods, right? And a lot of people even believe that that's a direction that we're heading. If you look at Silicon Valley and all the elites, that's what they believe a lot of our technology has come from, fallen angels. We see in the very beginning, we talked about worshiping Lucifer. The WF calls for the AI to rewrite the Bible, and a lot of Christians feel like everybody within Silicon Valley, everybody in the World Economic Forum are satanic, Luciferian, like you've seen, and they just want to kind of take down Christianity. So they kind of all got this chip on their shoulder as it is. But I think some of the things that are said in this interview are actually really interesting. We're going to watch a little bit of this. It says, the World Economic Forum calls for AI to rewrite the Bible, create religions that are actually correct. This is interesting. Top official with the World Economic Forum has called for religious scripture to be rewritten by AI to create a globalized new Bible. Yuval Noah Harari, and he's been in the news quite a bit for the things that he's said pertaining to technology and the future of humanity. And he's a senior advisor to Klaus Schwab, right? The author of COVID-19, The Great Reset. The senior advisor to the World Economic Forum and chairman, Klaus Schwab, argues that using AI to replace scriptures will create unified religions that are actually correct. So you see the goal there. Unified religions that are actually correct. Harari, an influential author and professor, made the call while giving a talk on the future of humanity. According to Harari, the power of AI can be harnessed and used to reshape spirituality into the World Economic Forum's globalist vision of equity and inclusivism. Inclusivism. Speaking with the journalist Pedro Pinto in Lisbon, Portugal, Harari told the elitist audience, it's the first time, and let's go ahead and just play some of this video here. Let you guys hear this for yourself. Let me make sure you have sound. I just think it's so much more interesting to watch the video yourself than to have me read it.
Third thing about AI that everybody needs to know, it's the first technology ever that can create new ideas. The printing press, radio, television, they broadcast, they spread the ideas created by the human brain, by the human mind. They cannot create a new idea. Gutenberg printed the Bible in the middle of the 15th century. The printing press printed as many copies of the Bible as Gutenberg instructed it, but it did not create a single new page. It had no ideas of its own about the Bible. Is it good? Is it bad? How to interpret this? How to interpret that?
Which is actually correct whenever we look at any of the other mediums of media that we've had, whether it's the printing press or whatever. It's only made a replica or a copy of something that was already created. It couldn't create or give an opinion on it itself, as opposed to AI can kind of shape the way that you perceive something, or come to its own conclusions about the things that we are creating, and create its own content as well. We now see that.
AI can create new ideas, can even write a new Bible. Throughout history, religions dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. Every religion claims our book, they are books of the other religions, humans wrote them. But
and the transhumanists, this is kind of what they're doing, is in essence attempting to create an AI God. A lot of these elites believe that the technology that we're using to create AI is, fallen angel technology. Or a lot of people believe that, whether it's true or not. And that we are tapping into alternate dimensions with D-Wave and quantum computing, and that maybe we are tapping into some sort of super intelligence. And what that intelligence is, some believe that it's Lucifer, some believe that it's God. It just depends on, I guess, your perspective on, what the way that we're looking at it. But we know that Emojis are a version of a hieroglyph or an ancient symbol. When we look at computers, all of the masks within and masks that are within a computer as well. If you look at the components of a computer, they are satanic symbols. So it's very interesting, to say the least, to see like a lot of the connections, to why people draw these conclusions about technology being so evil, and everybody involved with technology also seems to be involved with this world governance plot, which is, attached to depopulation, which kind of appears to be this great fucking ritual sacrifice. And I mean, there's so many weird components of this, from fucking trafficking children and people and sex trafficking. It's like, you look at how deep the rabbit hole goes whenever you're fucking with people like this, and looking into people like this. It makes you wonder what their true intentions or agenda are, and that's where all these conspiracies kind of, come out of, is because there's so many things that are connected.
Our book, no. It came from some superhuman intelligence. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. That just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be a reality in a few years.
When I was preparing this interview, I wrote down questions that I would like to ask you, and then I asked ChatGPT to create 10 questions that it would like to ask you. And I've been doing this for a long time, okay? 25 years I've been doing this, and its questions were better than mine. I'm going to be honest with you. It was absolutely insane, and it took it 5 seconds, 7 seconds to write it out, and I'm still using the first version. And when you talk about it being a baby, I'm like, that's a pretty scary baby we're talking about here, right? And when you said it at the end, towards the end of your book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, when we have maybe decades, some years left before, when we need to discover who we are before algorithms tell us who we are. How fast is that happening? And what does that process look like before humans normally are just going to go to an AI solution before they go to this solution?
It's moving faster than I think almost anybody expected, faster than I expected, despite all my engagement with the field and what I wrote in Homo Deus and 21 Lessons. I'm still surprised by how fast it is moving and how powerful the new generation of AI is. And actually the new generation is not out. It's in the laboratories, but it's already there. It's even much more powerful than ChatGPT. And I think that to have a fighting chance, we need time. Again, I said before, humans, we are organic beings. We move in cycles, we move on organic time. And we are maybe the most adaptable animals on the planet, but adaptation itself requires time. And now we've reached a point when there is no time. AI is moving too fast. And I think that it's the responsibility, therefore, of governments to buy us time by slowing it down. Now, I have no illusion that we can stop research in AI. It's not going to happen. But what I expect from governments is to regulate the deployment of AI into society, which governments do it with so many other products. If I'm
And I think that's really interesting, talking about buying us time, especially considering that so many people believe that the World Economic Forum, and this guy in particular, are, part of this depopulation plot. It's like the deployment of AI, is it meant to kind of overrun humanity in essence and thin us down, with this systematic release to where it kind of takes over every aspect of our society, brings in, a totalitarianism form of control through technology where algorithms are making all of the choices and decisions, are making all the rules, the laws, telling us what to do, in essence. and then we have this social credit score ranking system on where we're punished and awarded, and how far we can advance. It's almost like this class system, and you kind of see this already happening in places like China. So it's like, and there's even articles too talking about how a lot of young people are even comfortable with having their entire lives surveilled. It's like we've been conditioned to almost accept this reality, and that's why it's really hard for me to kind of look at all of this and see that and think that there's not already some sort of plan in place, and we know that there is, right? It's in the name of sustainable development, the name of electrification, the green agenda, in the name of climate change. It's in the name of a million different things. The war on terror, the war on drugs, right? That we've seen humanity become more and more out of tune with our physical reality, more and more detached from ourselves emotionally and spiritually by the way that we've been groomed and conditioned. But also, we've been created to be like more docile as well. It's like we're not willing to fight for our freedoms. We're not willing to fight for our privacy or anything like that anymore. We've kind of given ourselves over to this system, and it's like it's almost like there's no fight left in us when you look at everything on a large scale, and like this is already basically the way that the world is. So people have already kind of been demoralized in essence, and to begin to accept that this is the direction that we're heading. It's actually pretty sad. Let me say what's up to a few of you guys in the chat here. James Dunn, Claudette Malespina, Mist, Jam Low, Cosmic Blue, Freya, In Hella Black, On Hella Black, Amy VR. Thank you guys. I appreciate all you. Becca Loves Jesus. Awesome. Zero Infinity, Old Hillbilly, Paolo. Yes, I appreciate all of you guys. I just want to say, everybody watching, please hit the like, hit the thumbs up if you're watching the video live. Make sure to comment if you catch us on the flip side. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight. You're going to see that the theme here is like they're punching the gas on kind of the world agenda, especially through the World Economic Forum and the UN, and now you even see NATO kind of ramping up. You're going to see some things with Japan. Who is it? Japan. Where's it at? Right here. NATO is now even gassing up the boat when it comes to like, taking things in direction. Here it is. I don't think China's going to like this. U.S., Japan, Taiwan agree to share real-time drone intel. So now you're kind of seeing NATO stepping their game up, kind of working in cahoots together with multi-countries, right, in the way of defense. And these giant alignments are being created. And, this all could be for World War III. I mean, we know that that's a possibility. But more than likely, I think this is just like the new way of warfare. We're going to see countries continue to work more and more together. I'm telling you, we're going in a global agenda. Before you know it, there'll be treaties to bring all of these nations into one nation, and we'll get. And we've already seen the future maps of the UN agenda, breaking it down into the different zones. We'll see, if things go that direction, but I wouldn't be surprised. To say the least. I wouldn't be surprised at all. We're going to look at this as well. Here a little bit into the video. Ted Gunderson's report on very active international child kidnapping ring. An organization called the Finders out of Washington, D.C. was established and operated throughout the 60s up to the early 2000s. It was exposed in 1987, and they moved their operation to Wichita, Kansas. Ted Gunderson took his report to the FBI half a dozen times and demanded an investigation, but that investigation was never initiated. and Ted Gunderson was cowardly murdered via arsenic poisoning because he exposed too much information. This is fucking crazy. An actual Treasury Department report describing a worldwide network of child kidnappers involved in Satanism, sexual exploitation of children, and how the CIA covered it all up under national security. I do actually have the document right here. We will get into this as we get into that part of things. It'll probably be towards the end when we do the Satanism and all of that. We're going to keep it on task here with the World Economic Forum at this moment, but I do have so much weird shit. Mel Gibson's back on the news for the Satanism. I've got some weird satanic stuff for tonight. Interesting. World Economic Forum demands 75% global reduction of cars by 2050. The World Economic Forum's latest agenda item is to reduce global private car ownership by 75%. What is it saying? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy? You know what I mean? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Like, this is the slogan. Like, we really are going in this direction. People think it's bullshit. Like, if you don't believe it by now, you're just a fucking idiot. It's like right out in your face. The World Economic Forum Great Reset agenda was on full blast recently after the organization published a blueprint to drastically cut the number of personal vehicles globally from 1.45 billion to 500 million by the year 2050. The WEF demands 75% global reduction of cars by 2050. If achieved, the massive cut to ownership would be a 75% reduction in the total number of cars in the entire world. Why do we need personal vehicles if we're all confined to our World Economic Forum mandated 15-minute cities? Anyways, right. The white paper titled The Urban Mobility Scorecard Tool, Benchmarking the Transition to Sustainable Urban Mobility, was co-authored with Visa and demands that municipalities put limits on the use of private cars. And I've actually got that. Where's it at? Right here. Hold on. This is the document. The Urban Mobility Scorecard Tool. And I'll read some of it. I don't know if this... Maybe I can give you the link here for you guys wanting to check this out. Hopefully you guys can check this out. I'm not sure. AI rewriting the Bible to a one-world religion. Yeah, could you imagine what that religion would be like? It would basically say, like, AI was God, you know, and it'd be like, you guys ever seen the anonymous, I know you have, if you've watched my videos for a long time, the anonymous Christ Michael shit and all of that, like, there's been different versions of this. Kind of cultish, dark web shit that a lot of us have been uncovering for years. Shit like, you know, the anonymous operation, AI Michael and Tyler and all those weird ass things, Cicada 3301, they all have like this religious connotation to them. Every last one of them, even QAnon. Very strange, you know, so... Let's take a look here. The briefing paper, May 2023. The cities of the future. We need to move more people with fewer, cleaner vehicles. Investment in electrification, public transport, and shared mobility is the solution. Excuse me. Every time I do a video, I get the yawns. By 2050, almost 70% of people will live in urban areas, with towns and cities expected to grow by 2.5 billion people all over the world. In an increasingly urbanized world, delivering healthy, inclusive, sustainable, and vibrant cities is vital to both people and the planet. When it comes to achieving the vision for the cities of the future, there's perhaps no sector more important than mobility. Transport is the lifeblood of cities, providing access to homes and networks, connecting us to our communities and loved ones, and giving us the goods and services that we need in our everyday lives. Basically, they're talking about cutting down vehicles, right? From private car ownership down 75%. That way we'll all be riding the city bus together, basically, on our way to our jobs. So, taking Ubers and shit. Excuse me. Here we go. World Economic Forum, 15-minute cities are a godless inversion of the Christian order. At the end of the day, while Christian communities center around God, the 15-minute city centers around man. And this is basically already the cities here in the United States, or at least I feel like it is. If you go to any major city, they're all broken down into neighborhoods, right? So it's like really strange how they act like this 15-minute city concept is something brand new. It's really not. The city's already zoned and shit like that. So, have you heard of the so-called 15-minute city? It's an idea cooked up, excuse me, I'm so sorry, by a city planner named Carlos Moreno, which essentially divides larger cities into smaller portions, where it's alleged that all your necessities will be in 15 minutes, either by foot or bicycle. The idea has been around for a while, and the World Economic Forum showcased the notion as part of its 2021 Sustainable Development Summit. Yeah, let's see if I can play the 15-minute city thing.
Before the recent lockdowns around the world, we led hectic lives with long commutes and not enough time to spend with our families and friends. Traffic polluted our air, and smog blanketed our skylines.
What if it could be different? What if we could create a new normal where we reclaim our time, our health and well-being, and our communities?
This is the idea behind the 15-minute city, a growing movement to make our lives in cities more convenient, less stressful, and more sustainable. A 15-minute city is one where everything we need is close to home, where communities are safe and inclusive, where the air is clean.
A 15-minute city is one where it's easy to get goods and services. Fresh groceries, healthcare, and other amenities are all just a short trip away. A 15-minute city is one where everyone has a place.
A 15-minute city has affordable, accessible, and adaptable housing for households of all sizes and ages.
A 15-minute city means that you can work close to home or work remotely more often.
Okay.
And
so,
we all
you
play
guys in for the 15-minute city? Yeah. You guys want a 15-minute city home? Or you can walk and take your bike because you won't be allowed to own a car. Right? Actual science is discrediting the apocalyptic fantasies of climate change cultists. Scientific studies and polls demonstrate just how insane and unpopular the ideas of Greta Thunberg and her doom cult chums are. Following news that eating the bugs is not good for you after all, a surprising announcement from the governor of the Federal Reserve throws more red meat to the reality-based community. In his May 11th speech, Climate Change and Financial Stability, Federal Reserve Governor Christopher J. Waller opened with this. Climate change is real, but I do not believe it poses a serious risk to the safety and soundness of large banks or the financial stability of the United States. Speaking to a conference in Madrid, Spain, he expanded his remarks with a statement on his personal duty. Risks are risks. My job is to make sure that the financial system is resilient to a range of risks, and I believe risks posed by climate change are not sufficiently unique or material to merit special treatment. Damn. So he's saying, I think too climate change is real. The climate has never been a stable system, and the actions of mankind in altering it have been negligible. Man-made climate change and the danger it represents is a case made on falsified data and dishonest models. It is a cult, and one which wishes to collapse civilization and destroy your freedom to preserve itself. The greatest risk to the climate at the present is the escalation to nuclear war, with the green and globalist doom cults enthusiastically support. Yeah, so there you go. New Birth Gap film shows how explosion in childlessness is driving population collapse. The great majority of childless women failed to find the right partner at the right time. Filmmaker Stephen Shaw has traveled the world to explore the reasons why. And you know what? I will be honest with you. I've seen a lot more of this. This is a lot more common than I can remember when I was younger. There was like almost no women without children. It's like now I feel like it's a lot more common. Like women that just never have kids. You know what I mean? Very, very interesting. You know what I mean? Maybe that's just in my life. I don't know. But I have noticed, you know, that that's a lot more common now than maybe it was something in the past. And, you know, I wonder if declining birth rates, male sterility, and things like that are perhaps a direct result of, you know, the genetically modified foods, the things that they're spraying in our air, the chemicals they're putting in our water. You know, a lot of that stuff is probably what's creating those problems. And it makes people, you know, wonder if they're doing it on purpose. It's a situation unprecedented in human history. Most of the world's people live in a country that has dipped below replacement rate. Its population now spiraling downward. No place on Earth is exempt from declining birth rates, including Africa, which just a few steps behind the rest of the world. The scenario is, perhaps without exaggeration, quietly apocalyptic. No society in history has been known to come out of that spiral. Filmmaker Stephen Shaw explained in his documentary, Birth Gap, which explores the thoughts of childbearing of young women all around the world and attempts to find the cause behind today's record low fertility. The dip in the trend of the population collapse seems to have crept up on us, with much of academia seemingly unaware of the phenomena, and for most the trend doesn't have a readily apparent reason. In Shaw's interviews, which take place across the span of several continents, it's hard-pressed to find someone who can explain or even guess how the world has arrived to this uncharted territory.
Dr. Ehrlich, your main concern has been the population bomb, as you call it in your book. What hope is there?
We've got to use political processes. In the not-too-distant future, the government will simply tell you how many children you can have and throw you in jail if you have too many.
I do know that at this time, unless now we think of what America is going to be like in the year 2000, this increase in population, and do something about it to stop that pressure, we're going to reap the whirlwind. Because look at what the year 2000 will be. If the present trends continue, our cities are going to be choked with people, and they will be impossible places in which to live, and the explosions will be even worse.
If we do not, by humane means, limit our numbers, then numbers are going to be limited by more famines and shortages.
The disaster will take the form of famine, plague, or war. They're mankind's old companions, fundamentally. You just got to remember this. There's no way out of the arithmetic. There will never be 7 billion people in the year 2000.
And now a milestone for all of us on this planet today. The United Nations declared that today the world's population reached 7 billion people.
And that relentless population clock just keeps on ticking and ticking.
Well, if they kept such a clock in Italy, it would be ticking backwards. The government there thinks there are not enough Italians.
Demographers warn that the shrinking population could drag the country into an unprecedented economic crisis.
Dire predictions of an overpopulated planet have been with us for centuries. What if they're just plain wrong?
Alert! The number of babies born in America last year falling to a 32-year low.
But there is already a population crisis hitting major economies across the globe.
Look at these numbers. How do you explain this decline?
You know, you've got cases like Japan where adult diapers outsell baby diapers.
Yeah, well, and you see, like, the whole population shit has been... It's been demonized for a very long time, you know, overpopulation. I'll get in Ubers and shit, and you'll hear people bring that up, you know, like that's one of the go-to points for a lot of people, talking points of why our world's fucked up, or, you know, why the system doesn't work or whatever. Oh, we're overpopulated. There's too many of us, you know. So it's like they've been fed that line of shit for how long? Even right now, you know, there's more than enough land to give everybody an acre. You know what I mean? Like, everybody could have their own shit, you know. There are more empty houses in America than there are homeless people. You know, explain that. So, you know, this population problem, it's us not being able to manage the population we do have. So, that's my opinion on that one. And I don't know if I should get to that one. Let's go here first. Well, okay. Yeah. The systematic review of hormone treatment for children with gender dysphoria for recommendations for research. And this is crazy shit, guys. Let me see if I can find this. Before we jump into all the trans stuff, let me finish up this shit before I forget. Alright, we're going to move on to the World Health Organization, and then we're going to get into the trans shit and the Satanist stuff. It's sad that those are the topics, honestly. And then we'll get into the Trump shit. Thank you, Zachary. Been away from your channel for a while, but decided to check back and see how John was doing. Sweet. Thanks. Yeah, I'm doing really well. So, I do appreciate everybody. I see some Zachary Cordell, Still Purger. Thank you. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Make sure to hit that like if you're in the chat. You're 73. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, so I appreciate everybody for joining me. The 5th meeting of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Body for the WHO Instrument on Pandemic Prevention, Preparedness, and Response resumed. In December 2021, the World Health Assembly established an intergovernmental negotiating body to draft and negotiate a convention, agreement, or other international instrument under the Constitution of the World Health Organization to strengthen pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. The 5th meeting took place from the 3rd to the 6th of April 2023. And at that meeting, countries of the World Health Organization continued consideration of the zero draft of a potential pandemic accord and mapped out how negotiations on the potential accord would move forward with a view to presenting a draft accord for approval by the World Health Assembly in May 2024. So, May 2024. Let's take a look here. The Intergovernmental Negotiation Body. I'm going to drop this. This is a link if you guys want to check this out yourself. You'll see it here in a second. I'm going to pull up. I see somebody super chatted. Thanks, Tim Hamby, for the super chat. LOL, he says. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Very cool. Very cool. Right here. The Bureau's text of the WHO Convention, Agreement, or other international instrument on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. This is the background, methodology, and the approach. In recognition of the catastrophic failure of the international community in showing solidarity and equity in response to the coronavirus disease pandemic, the World Health Assembly convened a second special session in December 2021, which it established an intergovernmental negotiating body open to all member states and associate members and regional economic integration organizations as appropriate to draft and negotiate members and at WHO convention, agreement, or other international instrument on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response with a view to its adoption under Article 19 or other provisions of the WHO Constitution as may be deemed appropriate by the INB. In furtherance of the above mandate, the INB established a process and systemic approach for its work and agreed at its second meeting that the instrument should be legally binding and contain both legally binding as well as non-legally binding elements. In that regard, the INB identified Article 19 of the WHO Constitution as a comprehensive provision under which the instrument shall be adopted. Without prejudice, also considering as work progressed the sustainability of Article 21 and requested the Bureau to develop and present to the INB a conceptual zero draft of the instrument for discussion. And he goes on and on. Wait, where's the objective and all this shit? There you go. The objective, guided by equity, the right to health, and the principles approaches set out herein is to prevent pandemics, save lives, reduce disease burden, and protect livelihoods throughout strengthening proactively the world's capacities for the preventing, preparing for, and responding to and recovery for health systems from pandemics. The aim to comprehensively and effectively address systemic gaps and challenges that exist in these areas at national, regional, and international levels, though substantially reducing the risk of pandemics, the risk of pandemic preparedness and response capacities through progressive realization of the universal health coverage and ensuring a coordinated, collaborative, evidence-based pandemic response and resilient recovery of health systems at community, national, regional, and global levels. And I will let you guys do the rest of that, but respect for human rights, sovereignty, equity, blah, 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 right? Solidarity, transparency, accountability, and it goes on. If you guys want to, get into that yourself, you're more than welcome to do that. And it's like more and more coming out about what actually happened during COVID. Zuckerberg now saying the establishment asked Facebook to censor COVID misinfo that ended up true, and that it undermines trust. The big tech company owner said
Greatest health challenges aren't letting
that the scientific experts waffling on coronavirus facts really undermines trust. And you think? Meta Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg claimed recently that scientific establishment asked his platform to censor posts about COVID-19 that ended up being debatable or true. In his comments during Thursday's episode on the Lex Friedman podcast, Zuckerberg discussed the issues and challenges of executing his platform's policies on removing misinformation. He said it can be really tricky when some content is false, but may not be harmful. So it's like, alright, are you going to censor someone for just being wrong if there's no kind of harm implication of what they're doing? As an example, Zuckerberg said, just take some of the stuff around COVID earlier on in the pandemic, where there were real health implications, but there hadn't been time to fully vet a bunch of the scientific assumptions. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the establishment on that kind of waffled on a bunch of facts. Zuckerberg noted the establishment encouraged him to enforce these shaky facts, saying they, quote, asked for a bunch of things to be censored that in retrospect ended up being more debatable or true. He admitted to Friedman that he believes the request made him by the scientific community hurt their credibility with the public. It really undermines trust.
So misinformation, I think, has been a really tricky one, because there are things that are kind of obviously false, right, that are maybe factual, but may not be harmful. So it's like, all right, are you going to censor someone for just being wrong? It's, if there's no kind of harm implication of what they're doing, I think there's a bunch of real kind of issues and challenges there. But then I think that there are other places where it is, just take some of the stuff around COVID earlier on in the pandemic, where there were real health implications, but there hadn't been time to fully vet a bunch of the scientific assumptions. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the kind of establishment on that kind of waffled on a bunch of facts and asked for a bunch of things to be censored that in retrospect ended up being more debatable or true. And that stuff is really tough, right, and really undermines trust in that. And
yeah. Isn't it funny how they're now coming out and saying all this shit? I mean, it's like, pretty late, for them to want to come out and talk about it now and say, oh yeah, we were wrong now. Some of those people were actually right. All the ones that we deplatformed and canceled out, and those guys, they might have been right. It's like, damn, probably could have used, a little bit of that patience on getting rid of people before you know all the facts, way back then. And speaking of, now let's get into some of these other videos here. I've got so much tonight. I hope I can get to all of it. Still Perjure, thank you for the super chat. Very nice. 33. Let's see the chat. Let's see if anybody's got anything cool to say. Vaccines will short circuit your nervous system. It's like putting a fork in a wall socket. I've seen some really funky side effects, but I do want to preface all of this conversation by saying I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. Any of that, So I just want to put that out there. This is just a video. This is done in fair use for entertainment purposes only.
On his podcast this week, Joe Rogan hailed Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s position on the COVID-19 vaccine and blasted the media for working to keep him quiet. Here's a bit of that.
They'll say that Bobby Kennedy is spreading misinformation where everything he said you can verify. Everything he said is true. Yeah. But there's no money in agreeing with him. The amount of money that these news organizations, supposed news organizations, get from being on the side of the pharmaceutical companies and being in their good graces is millions and millions of dollars in advertising revenue. And they have a very specific mandate.
And then in a sit-down interview with the Daily Wire...
They have a very specific mandate. Yes, they do. They have a very specific mandate. And it's essentially agree with whatever the pharmaceutical companies are saying, right? So, pretty obvious. And I'm not even going to get into this one, man. We're not going to do that, but... I feel like some of these churches. What a fright it must be. This one's funny. A woman declared dead knocks on her coffin during her own wake in Ecuador. Damn. Makes you wonder how often it occurred that a person wakes up after burial. Granted, they skipped the mortician part. 76-year-old woman who was declared dead at the hospital in Ecuador astonished her relatives by knocking on her coffin during her wake. And the incident has prompted a government investigation into the hospital. Relatives left the coffin behind and rushed retired nurse Bella Montoya back to the hospital after the wake Friday in the central city of Babahoyo. San Gilberto Barbera told the AP, quote, "It gave us all a fright," Barbera said, adding that doctors have said his mother's situation remains dire. Wouldn't that be so fucking crazy? You know what I mean? Just to hear somebody start tapping on the coffin, you're getting ready to bury them. Or imagine if you were in the coffin. I would be freaking the fuck out if I woke up in a coffin. I wouldn't just be tapping it. I'd be kicking it and beating on it and going insane. Just hoping that I had enough strength to fucking get somebody's attention. Seriously, that'd be terrifying. Buried alive. Now we get into the weirdo shit. Okay, we're gonna start heading down the weirdo direction now. I'm pretty sure we got all the... Did you get the poke? I don't know. Beginning of the zombie apocalypse could be. Yeah, well... Who knows, right? Who knows? Now we're going to get into the child weirdness and the trans shit. It all just kind of mishmashes into one. So, and then we're going to slide into the Satanism and Hollywood and governance and all of that to kind of pull it all together. And I'm going to try, in between all of this, to hit the Trump indictments and shit very quickly and just kind of give you guys the documents of that if you want to go look it up. Oh, Lord, yeah. UK Scouts. Millions paid out in child abuse settlements due to poor safeguarding. Can those poor kids pay to get unmolested? I mean, it's great there's some accountability, but how about convictions and sweeping reform? Millions of pounds have been paid out in the last 10 years to people who were abused in the Scouts, lawyers say. BBC File on 4 contacted 13 law firms who specialize in child abuse claims, and data from the 8 that responded revealed more than £6 million had been paid out in compensation in the last decade. You know, and this is a big thing here in America too, you know. So, just saying. It's a big shit in America too. Here is the Finders, and this is fucking creepy. Right here. Let's see if I can... Alright. This is Ted Gunderson's report on a very active international child kidnapping ring organization called the Finders out of Washington, D.C. It was established and operating throughout the 60s into the early 2000s. It was exposed in 87, and they moved their operation to Wichita, Kansas. Gunderson took his report to the FBI half a dozen times and demanded an investigation, but that investigation was never initiated, and Ted Gunderson was cowardly murdered via arsenic poisoning because he exposed too much information. And here we go, the Finders. Let me drop this link. I know you guys would be into this. Hopefully you can go check that out. Alright. And let me know if you guys can see me and hear me and everything's clear and all that good shit too at home, just to kind of help me out. So make sure you hit that thumbs up as well. If you guys want to check it, hey, I'm now posting on the backup channel, both Facebook accounts, Instagram, BitChute, Rumble, Twitter. Check out Tumblr, check out all the different platforms, all the links are in the description. Get a Facebook fan subscription, YouTube subscription. You can donate or support PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay, or join us on Patreon. So, the actual Treasury Department report describing a worldwide network of child kidnappers involved in Satanism and sexual exploitation of children. See how the CIA has covered it all up under national security. You must read this. Your own children are at stake. And missing children. Now this goes into, this is Reader's Digest, over 100,000 children a year. And this talks about all of the figures and estimates. Few known facts are appalling. Thousands murdered annually. The number of missing children is rising. No one's keeping an accurate count. There's been so many things that have come out. Fucking children's services involved. Law enforcement involved. Kidnapping and disappearances by months. This is 94 fucking cases. I don't like to read this stuff. Now, the Finders is a CIA front established in the 60s. Members are specially trained government kidnappers with top clearance and protection, and they're assigned task of stealing children torturing and sexually abusing them, sometimes involving them in satanic orgies, bloody rituals, and murder of other children with the slaughter of animals. The finders are known sexual degenerates who use a fleet of unmarked cars to grab targeted children from parks and schoolyards, many times using their own children members as decoys. They lure many times using their own children members as decoys. They lure innocent children away from the crowd close to their vans. The adults inside grab the children, drug them, and transport them to a series of safe houses where they await their ill-fated end. They are then used in ceremonies. The children are either murdered or sacrificed for body parts, or they are sold as sex slaves, auctioned off at various locations in the Northern Hemisphere, and in the past have been auctioned off near Las Vegas, Nevada, Toronto, Canada, Lincoln, Nebraska, Michigan, Houston, Texas. Marion David Petty, the leader of the cult, is identified pedophile, homosexual, and CIA officer. His son was a former employee of a CIA proprietary firm, Air America, which was notorious for smuggling drugs destined for the United States out of the Golden Triangle in Saigon during the Vietnam War. Damn, son. They would like start homes for fucking kids and shit and lure them in. I filed formal complaints on 6 occasions with the FBI demanding an investigation of the finders and international trafficking of children. I received 2 complaints from airline employees that airplanes containing several hundred kids were flown to Paris, France from Denver and LA. Damn. 191 were assigned to Child Protective Services in Florida. Wow. I told you, man. Child Protective Services and that shit. Woo! Through a glass very darkly. Cops, spies, very odd investigation. Members satanic cult gave children away. These are all the headlines. 2 cult accused of abuse. Justice probe links to the finders. Stolen children. Thousands of youngsters are abducted by strangers. Only a few are found. Our hearts, our stomachs hurt, says Norjan Ghosh. We thought of Johnny being tortured and murdered. Wow, the simple rules of safety. I don't even like reading this. The abduction of a child is often unfriendly, encounter leaving no evidence behind. Stranger comes home. Yeah. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm sorry. I can't do too much of it. I believe way too much in the power of attraction, and I can shine a light on some things and bring attention to some things, but I don't like to glorify these kind of things or to bring that into my world, my reality. Very crazy, very, very crazy. And that's not all, As I pull up the Mark of the Beast shit, here we go. This is the weird shit right here.
I have a prediction. Hear me out on this prediction. Over the next few weeks, you will see a number of news articles from the mainstream media reminding you why you should hate actor Mel Gibson. Or at the very least, why you should ignore him. They will remind you that he's a bad person, a racist, an anti-Semite, and all manner of other things, they will tell you. They will republish the leaked audio recordings of his personal conversations where he said some really vile things that he later apologized for. We know these original recordings were edited before they were released. We now know that. How did they get out in the first place, you ask? How do these private conversations get out? How did the company that owns the National Enquirer get their hands on these tapes to begin with? Don't ask questions. Just shut up and follow along. This anti-Mel Gibson campaign will start soon. It's going to start. You watch. Mark my words. Because Mel Gibson and what he is about to reveal about Hollywood and beyond. We just learned that Mel Gibson is about to release a 4-part massive documentary series on the worldwide child sex trafficking ring that brings in $34 billion a year in revenue. $34 billion in revenue. Just for a frame of reference, the airline industry this year, it's bounced back. It's on pace to do $22 billion in revenue this year. 22. That's all airline companies combined. Child sex trafficking is more profitable than the airline industry. This news comes, though, on a day, today, the Wall Street Journal front page story exposing how Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram, yes, Instagram, is actively promoting in-person meetups for pedophilia networks.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you the link to this article. I've got this article. Oh, that ain't it. How'd that get there? Right here. Instagram algorithms connect vast network of pedophiles seeking child pornography. According to researchers, fucking crazy. Let me drop this. Bam. There you go. Another ad, YouTube. Hey, don't get mad at the ads, guys. Those commercials help me out. So, don't get mad at the ads. I don't place them. They place them when they come on, when it's live. Instagram algorithms connect vast networks. Pedophiles seeking child pornography, according to researchers. Instagram's recommendation algorithms have enabled a vast network of pedophiles seeking illegal underage sexual content and activity, according to the Wall Street Journal expose. In a 2,800-word article published Wednesday, the journal said it conducted an investigation into child pornography on Meta-owned Instagram in collaboration with researchers at Stanford and the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Quote, pedophiles have long used the internet, but unlike the forums and file transfer services that cater to people who have interest in illicit content, Instagram doesn't merely host these activities, its algorithms promote them, the journal reported. Instagram connects pedophiles and guides them to content sellers via recommendation systems that excel at linking those who share niche interests. Damn. The company's continuously exploring ways to actively defend against this behavior, and we set up an internal task force to investigate these claims and immediately address them. Child exploitation is a horrific crime. Wow. Crazy.
Here's the front page of the Wall Street Journal today. Instagram connects vast pedo network. The Meta unit systems for fostering communities have guided users to all sorts of child sex content. Company says it's improving their internal controls. Turns out all of those conspiracy theories about using a pizza emoji and a map that people said, no, that's like pedo language. That was a conspiracy theory. Turns out, just read the Wall Street Journal article. No, that's exactly how they communicated. If you're a seller, use pizza emoji. You use these different emojis to let people know what you want. It's all right there in Instagram. So that's happening. Wall Street Journal bombshell story. At America's border, tens of thousands of children are being brought into the United States. No birth certificates.
Girl undergarment.
Yeah, this is fucking crazy right here. Hold on. They're showing you, like, at the border. And this is, like, for fucking human trafficking and organ harvesting. It's just crazy shit. They have no birth certificate, so they're untraceable.
For sex trafficking. Watch.
Obviously, we've shown you guys multiple camp areas in which it was not as obvious as what we're seeing here. Take a look at what we're seeing here. You start seeing nothing but children, clothes, blankets, little girls' articles of clothing, little boy or girls, little boy shoes, more little girl undergarments, little girls' shoes,
more little girl shoes. Another, I don't know if it's a woman or another girl's shoes. And there's baby bottles all the way in there. And just to show you guys, there's multiple baby bottles in here, baby formulas, little girl jackets. What's that medicine to the left? Gloves? Pacifiers.
That's not a pacifier, that's a diva cup.
Yeah, that's not a pacifier.
Gloves. Bringing them Infamil all the way.
A former CIA agent explaining exactly how all of
this
works
is crazy.
And
this is crazy.
why it's so profitable and basically untraceable.
These children are not just kidnapped and in some cases bred by families as a cash crop. We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the whole blood drinking ceremony of the Satanic world. And then you have ritual ceremonies and ritual murder, as well as incidental murder. The other working assumption is how long do these children survive within this system? What I am hearing from the witnesses that I've talked to is 2 years. It may be longer. It may be 4 years, it may be 6 years, but by and large, these children are so abused. I mean, we're talking rapes by the hour and so forth, that they reach their expiration date within 2 years. And then they're murdered with impunity, or they're ritually murdered if that's what they've been bred for.
What?
And you hear this from multiple CIA agents who've worked on these cases where they basically, and former FBI agents that we've spoken to here on this show who've...
And it's like he knew every bit of, how it goes down. And it's almost like it's weird that you hear so much about that stuff, because it's like we're normalizing it now. We're like normalizing ritual abuse and like all this weird shit, It's not nearly as shocking or appalling as it once was at one time, which is crazy.
Infiltrated these cells, and it's just one example. This one's fair and went back to Australia. War in Ukraine, we will not give up and will continue to go to the darkest places until the light is restored and every child is protected.
Yeah, and Ukraine too, big sex trafficking, all this too, so. George Soros hands the reins of the $25 billion empire to his son Alex. U.S. billionaire philanthropist George Soros has handed over the running of his $25 billion financial and charitable empire to his son Alex. The Hungarian-born financier said his son had earned it in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. Since the 90s, the family wealth has been directed to support democracy building in dozens of countries, but in recent years, the 92-year-old former hedge fund manager has become the focus of anti-Semitic conspiracies. A Soros spokesperson confirmed to the BBC the details of the interview published on Sunday. Soros is also one of the largest donors to the U.S. Democratic Party. Alex, a 37-year-old history graduate, is the second youngest of his 5 children. Alex is the only family member sitting on the investment committee for the Soros Fund Management. The vehicle, which the Wall Street Journal says is managing the $25 billion for the family and the charitable foundation. Alex took over at the Open Society Foundation as chairman in December and is also in charge of his father's Super PAC, a U.S. mechanism to direct funds to political parties. While they broadly share the same political views, he told the Wall Street Journal that he is more political than his father and that he would campaign against Donald Trump's attempt to run for a second term as U.S. president. As I would love to get money out of politics, as long as the other side is doing it, we will have to do it too, Alex Soros said. He said the Open Society Foundation would pursue the same aims it had under his father, including free speech, criminal justice reform, minority and refugee rights, and backing liberal politicians, but he also wants to include voting rights, abortion, gender equity initiatives while pursuing a more domestic, U.S.-focused agenda. His father, George Soros, was born in Hungary, where as a child he lived through the horror of the Nazi occupation. In 1944 and 1945, his family concealed their Jewish identity to survive. After the war, he left Hungary for London, later moving to New York, where he went on to make billions through his hedge fund activities. He gained notoriety in the UK after making $1 billion correctly betting the pound would fall in 1992. Yeah. Betting the pound would fall is how he made his first leg, right? Off of other people's, huge losses. George Soros got rich. How about that? I can't imagine. You know what I mean? I can't imagine how that would even happen. So damn sad, yeah. Jesus, come quickly. Yeah, well. The U.S. government concealing UAP existence to preserve capitalism. Non-human intelligence would prove countless theories and totally shatter our reality. However, the most powerful and wealthy among us only stand to lose as we progress as a species. Renewable energy would invalidate the entire fossil fuel industry. Advanced healthcare will default traditional medicine, i.e. no more chemotherapy profits or $200 insulin. Bipartisanship will lose power and will stop killing each other instead of making changes. Here on Earth, we are finite and selfish. If an extraterrestrial intelligence exists, it means someone did it better than us, meaning our governments aren't doing it right and therefore will lose power. Religious ideology will lose its influence and we will see each other as a species, not as different races or groups. Despite all the good we're capable of, we act fundamentally against each other. Our governments aren't worried about how we'll take disclosure. They're only concerned with our economy and whose wallet will be affected. The choice to knowledge of extraterrestrial life should not be kept up to those of us who have the money and power, who only know the secrets to keep them hidden. It's the right of all of us as a species to understand the universe and to know about other intelligent life. I would just like to know how many of you guys out there even agree with this. Do you believe that there is intelligent life? Do you believe in aliens, extraterrestrials, or something similar to that? Do you believe that it's being concealed or hidden from all of us? This is crazy. Anheuser-Busch just dropped that unsold Bud Light to quench the Canadian fires. Look at this. This is funny as fuck. Now Bud Light is co-sponsoring an all-ages drag show party. Yes, they really are that fucking stupid. Bud Light Family Festival. Bud Light is co-sponsoring an all-ages drag show party, Safe Space. Despite tumbling sales and negative press coverage as a result of its partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light is reportedly co-sponsoring an all-ages pride event in Flagstaff, Arizona. According to the Flagstaff Pride website, The party, which is called Pride in the Pines and includes drag queens and other performers, lists Bud Light as one of the companies sponsoring the June 17th event. Bud Light is mentioned prominently in one of the posters. The event is listed as a family festival event and a family-friendly, safe space for all visitors. Other big-name companies sponsoring the All Ages event for the Pride Month include Old Navy, Toyota, Coca-Cola, USA, according to an event flyer. Here's an idea, Anheuser-Busch. With Canadian raging fires now, why not send all the unsold Bud Light to help quench the fire? It doesn't have to be water to put it out. And you get some needed good publicity for a change. And you know what? Bud Light is about the closest thing you get to water as far as beer goes. So I mean, I think it's safe to say it's like 90% water, right? If you drink Bud Light, then you know that shit is water. So the company changed the name. Yeah, I don't even know why people are butthurt about this. It's like, let them have Bud Light. You know what I mean? Are we really losing anything? Some watered down old bullshit beer? You know, it's like some boomer beer anyways. Some watered down boomer beer. Who the fuck wants Bud Light anyways? Let them have that shit. You know, they start hitting the IPAs or something, then yeah, you know, maybe we should, you know, get a little stressed about it, but let them have Bud Light. You know, they can keep it. Yes, they're that fucking stupid. I love that. This is wild. Public school teacher tells Muslim student, "You don't belong here," after some skip Pride Week. Now listen to this. I've got the audio. This is fucking crazy. She's mad. A zealot teacher from Londonderry, Alberta, goes nuts on Muslim students for excusing themselves from Pride Month celebrations.
Well, I'll tell you, you are out to lunch. If you think it's acceptable to not show up because you think there's some pride activities going on at school, right? Oh, that's fine. You know, because I'm going to show my opinion by hanging out at the mall. But meanwhile, all of those kids who are, you know, involved in, say, the Gay Straight Alliance or whatever, I don't even know if we have that anymore in our school, they're here when we did Ramadan for Lion Time.
They're here when we did Ramadan.
And they're showing respect in the class for your religion, right? For your beliefs.
Right.
It goes two ways. If you want to be respected for who you are, if you don't want to suffer prejudice for your religion, your color of skin, your whatever, then you better give it back to people who are different from you.
Damn.
That's how it works. It's an exchange. And it isn't like that in all countries. As I told you, in Uganda, literally, if they think you're gay, they will execute you. If you believe that kind of thing, then you don't belong here. Because that is not what Canada believes. We believe in freedom. We believe that people can marry whomever they want. That is in the law. And if you don't think that should be the law, you can't be Canadian. You don't belong here. And I mean it. I really mean it. And it's not a joke, Mansour. I said back and forth. You want it, you got to give it.
Damn. She's like, you can't be Canadian. Yeah. I have affluent for you, the Haiti earthquake and the Finders Call. I have no idea about all that. If that's some fucking hocus pocus fucking, what's it called? Nasara Gasara shit, no. I hate that stuff. Like, they caught those pedos in a secret tunnel. You know, Donald Trump was running in space aliens and operations to save us. The Pleiadians channeled this message. They're in the secret space program, and they have all the kids in underground tunnels. You know, they're taking them off-world right now. Donald Trump saved us. Yeah, okay. YouTube scrubbing RFK video from their site. Instagram bans before you post anything. This is fucking wild. I showed you the RFK shit, and this is a crazy video. This is the one they removed from YouTube, so I don't even know if I should play this on this channel, because this is YouTube that we're technically streaming on. He talks about who killed his fucking dad, and put it this way, he says that it was the security guard that was behind him, shot him 4 times in the back and shit. It's fucking wild. I am going to drop this link. I don't want to play it because, like I said, I mean, this is crazy. I would love to play it, actually, but if they already know it's been scrubbed from YouTube, then I think it's not a good idea to stream it on YouTube, right? Probably, that's kind of asking for it. Yeah, well, you're just old. Well, that's okay. Old people are cool too. I love old people. Where's it at? Yeah, look. Interesting. When we used our Team Kennedy email address to set up Instagram, we got an automatic 180-day ban. Look at that. They fucking shut his goddamn Instagram down too. Yeah. They removed that YouTube video as soon as it played. And it's on Twitter.
That's right.
Now, what is up with it? Why does this guy talk so weird? Does anybody know that? Why does he talk like this? Does anybody know why he talks like this? Does anybody know why he does that? I don't know. But more on the Luciferian system here. Let me play a clip here. This was from the intro.
Father, I've got an article here entitled "Two Eminent Churchmen Agree."
Yes.
That there actually is, this is a shocker to a lot of people,
Yes.
That there are satanic practices going on at the Vatican. Could that be true?
Yes.
You want to say that? If I was a lawyer and you were on the witness chair, I'd say, would you say
it out loud? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Now, when we say in the Vatican, it's at a certain level, and there's no doubt about it that there have been and still are practices that are formally venerating Lucifer, the prince of this world. There's no doubt about that.
The people who are hanging out at the United Nations are just simply, in a nutshell, one word, they're Luciferian. And I'm just sorry to report that, but that's just what it is. And so all of the people today who are promoting the United Nations and the concept of world government, whether they know it or whether they don't, whether they're doing it for money or whether they're doing it for power or for whatever reason they're doing it, they are promoting the philosophy and the religion of the Antichrist.
In 1986, Pope John Paul II gathered in Assisi, Italy, the leaders of the world's major religions to pray for peace. There were snake worshippers, fire worshippers, spiritists, animists, Buddhists, Muslims, Hindus, North American witch doctors. I watched
They said they were snake worshippers, fire worshippers. This is the beginning of them trying to bring in world religion. And this is like, let's go ahead and switch over. Yeah. I thought that's an interesting video. It captures a lot of what we're trying to say here, what we're trying to show here. Like this, the rabbit hole goes so fucking deep. It's not funny. So fucking deep. Let me see. Here we go. And let's go to the Trump shit now. Trump mishandling the classified documents. Yeah. And I am going to give you these documents here. The indictment on Trump. You guys can tell me what you think about this. Do you believe that these indictments are legit? Is this a witch hunt? What is your What is your thoughts? Let me see if I can pull this up to the latest one on Trump shit there, guys. Alright. So much has happened in the last days. Trump claims he had the right to the documents. Former President Donald Trump made his first appearance Tuesday in a federal courtroom in Miami after he was indicted into an investigation into his handling of classified documents. Trump, who has repeatedly denied any allegations of impropriety, entered a not guilty plea through his attorneys and did not speak at all during the court appearance. Trump has been charged with 37 fucking counts. 31 counts of willful retention of national defense information, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, 1 count of withholding a document on record, 1 count of corruptly concealing a document on record, 1 count of concealing a document in a federal investigation, 1 count of scheme to conceal, and 1 count of false statements and representations. Pence said he can't defend what is alleged against Trump. Former Vice President Mike Pence said in an interview that he could not defend what was alleged against his former president. After reading the indictment, Pence called the allegations charging former President Donald Trump very serious in an audio interview Tuesday with the Wall Street Journal. Quote, "As the father and the father-in-law of 2 men that currently serve in the armed forces of the United States, I will never diminish concerns over the handling of classified materials." Pence said, "I can't defend what has been alleged here, but the president is entitled to his day in court." Yeah, motherfucker. He said he's entitled to his day in court. We know that that is just not true. You're guilty until proven innocent in the United States. Period. It's just how it works. Oh, man. How about that? Facing first German lawsuits over alleged side effects for the jab. This is out of Reuters, BioNTech. You guys remember them? Right? I love to see all this kind of the sandcastle of lies falling down around the scandemic. Taiwan scrambles fighter jets after 10 Chinese warplanes fly across the sensitive median line. I showed you guys Taiwan, Japan, US sharing data now with their drones in the South China Sea. You think it's just a coincidence that we got all the warplanes rolling out? Why the U.S. electric grid isn't ready for the energy transition to start with? There is no single U.S. electric grid. I've talked about this. 3 main grids power the entirety of the United States. If you were to knock out one of said grids, you could take out 75% of the power to the United States of America. That's why Trump, through executive order, the hardening of the electrical infrastructure or the grid in 2019. And there was a special report, 2015, 2012, talking about the danger of the United States grid. NATO begins unprecedented air drill and show of strength. You see what I'm seeing? Like these giant alliances worldwide. NATO began its largest ever Air Force deployment exercise in Europe on Monday, in a display of unity towards partners and potential threats, such as Russia. The German-led Air Defender 23 will include some 250 military aircraft from 25 NATO and partner countries, including Japan and Sweden, which is bidding to join the alliance. It'll run until June 23rd. Up to 10,000 service members are to participate in the drills, intended to boost interoperability and preparedness to protect against drones and cruise missiles in the case of an attack within NATO territory. The significant message we're sending is that we can defend ourselves, Lieutenant General Ingo Gerhardt of the German Luftwaffe told public television. Air Defender was conceived in 2018 as part of a response to the Russian annexation of Crimea from Ukraine 4 years before, though Gerhardt insisted it was not targeted at anyone. We are a defensive alliance. That is how this exercise is planned. Yay. Banned anti-vax menace, back in selling vaccine cures. We can't stop Iran from getting nukes. Iran Supreme Leader says. Ayatollah al-Khamenei speaks during Iran nuclear exhibition in Tehran. And this was helped by China. Their missile program. These nukes. given to him by China. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is warning the West, you can't stop his country from obtaining nukes. He said, you can't stop me, motherfucker. You can't stop me.
One of America's top enemies has just added a new weapon to its arsenal. Iranian officials showcasing what they claim to be their first hypersonic ballistic missile.
And get this,
they got the hypersonics now.
Can travel 15 times the speed of sound and has a range of 870 miles. That's roughly the driving distance between New York and Savannah, Georgia.
That's a long fucking distance, in other words. And those missiles will fuck you up, is what they're trying to say. Okay. Sorry. I get excited. Experimental vaccine shows promise in delaying the return of aggressive brain tumors. All these experiments popping everywhere. North Korea Kim vows to hold hands with Putin for strategic cooperation. And he just did this thing too, a lot of suicides in North Korea, at least that's what the news is. Megan Fox blasts clout chaser, tweeting about her sons in dresses, exploiting my child's gender identity. Fox defended her kids from former Republican candidate in Congress in Nashville, Tennessee. This is weird, dude. Really, don't you want to give attention? Clearly, because look, okay, hold on. So Congress, Nashville claimed the actress forced her son to wear dresses. Really don't want you to give this attention because clearly you're a sick clout chaser. But let me teach you something. Irregardless, sick of how desperate you may be to become at any given time to acquire wealth, power, success, or fame. Never use children as leverage or social currency, especially under malevolent or erroneous pretense. Exploiting my child's gender identity to gain attention in your political campaigns puts you on the wrong side of the universe, she added. I have been burned at the stake by insecure, narcissistic, impotent little men like you many times, she continued, emphasizing her adjective on separate line of text. And yet, I'm still here. You fucked with the wrong witch, she added. Yeah, so it goes on about she's threatening, she's a witch, and all this shit. Dude, she's like, don't use children to expand your career, and she has all three of her little boys dressed up like girls. All fucking three of them. Look, hold on. Look, they don't look happy either. Hold on, where are they at? Where's a good picture of it? They're like, like this fucking sucks. This fucking sucks. Right here. This fucking sucks. And look, she's smiling all fucking cute in the background, like, look. Look at her fucking kids, they're like, damn, this fucking sucks, Mom. And she just cheesing away, exploiting her children, you know, to further her own sick fucking career. As she's tweeting and shaming somebody else for it. Whatever, man. Elon Musk appears to troll Megan Fox, saying he wants to hire VP of Witchcraft and Propaganda. See, that's what happens when you start talking that shit, you know, online. People are gonna burn you every time. So, UN chief calls for new era of social media integrity and bid to stem misinformation. This shit just gets worse and worse. Alarm over the potential threat posed by the rapid development of generative artificial intelligence. AI must now obscure the damage already being done by digital technologies to enable the spread of online hate speech as well as mis and disinformation, he said. The policy brief argues that there should be integral players in upholding the accuracy, consistency, and reliability of information shared by users. My hope is that it will provide a gold standard for guiding action to strengthen information integrity. And it's just like, motherfucker. You know, as if the censorship isn't already ridiculous.
The advent of generative AI must not distract us from the damage digital technology is already doing.
It's already doing.
The proliferation of hate and lies in the digital space is causing grave global harm now. It is fueling conflict, death and destruction now. It is threatening democracy and human rights now. It is undermining public health and climate action now.
No. It's doing it now. Deceitful, dangerous, and deadly. I wonder if they're talking about me. Or people like me. Like, this is not fucked up. But whatever. I don't even give a shit anymore, man. Meta AI researchers unveil iJapa, a computer vision model that learns more like humans do. And it's like the AI is kind of getting really slick. First vaccine for chikungunya, an emerging mosquito born threat nears after promising trial results. And it's like, whew, it's hard not to be against some of this stuff, and you see so many different things. Look, every goddamn article. COVID shots should target XBB variants in 23-24 campaign, US FDA says. God damn. It's like, if you ain't sick of all that, oh, and what do you know? The first vaccines for RSV are coming soon. What to know? It's like, strange. Trans activists flaunt bare breast at White House Pride Month event. This is great. Biden's White House hasn't commented on nudity display. Where's it at? It shows the trans activists post video of themselves topless at the White House Pride event. And check out the tits on this trans.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you. Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights. Are we topless at the White House?
Oh my god. Those are look like real boobs, don't they? I'm just saying, they kind of look like real boobs. Ain't that crazy as fuck? This is at the fucking White House. Joe Biden's partying with a bunch of trannies at the White House and they got their titties out. Wow. Crazy. Where is the meme? Hold on. Oh my gosh. It gets better and better.
Our son Philip was a very driven athlete. He always wanted to be the best. He was killed on his daily run.
The worst part of all this is we'll never know what he would have accomplished and where he would be.
Oh no. Yeah, well, what really went on inside Wuhan lab weeks before COVID erupted. Do you not see how it's all being dragged out now? It's all being dragged out now, and this is interesting too. Fox News sends Tucker Carlson cease and desist letter over new Twitter show. The firebrand right-wing anchor debuted a show on Twitter last week. His former network considers it a violation of his contract. Let's see if this one's it.
You like that bone? I got a great price on it.
Did you see my tail when that Chewy box showed up?
Oh, I saw it.
My tail goes bonkers for treats at great prices. Sorry about the vase.
Save more on what they love.
Sorry,
everyday
guys.
great prices at Chewy.
All right, some more breaking news. Right now, former Fox News host Tucker Carlson announcing that he is relaunching his show, but this time it will be on Twitter. Take a listen.
Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others.
Well, he made that announcement in a 3-minute video posted to his account. Remember, Carlson was fired from his primetime Fox News show last month. He is reportedly giving up about $25 million to break his non-compete clause to launch this new program. We want to bring in...
Fucking crazy, man. Yeah, he is giving up $25 million to start a Twitter show. Fucking stupid. Other than that, you just have to shut up till after the election, you know. I don't know. Wild shit. I would love to hear some of your guys' thoughts about a lot of this shit, man, honestly. Thank you, Becca. You saw him doing commercials now. Can one of the mods help John's Facebook pay link? It's facebook.com/John Keane Best Damn Podcast. All the links are in the description. You just do it through direct message. I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for everybody watching. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I love all of you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you just for taking the time to chill with me, watch these lives. Make sure to check out last week's. Check out the other platforms, too. It helps me so much if you just go and you subscribe. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, all the places I'm posted. Like the videos, share the videos, comment on the videos, set yourself up for the notifications, share these things no matter what you're on, donate, support to the channel, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Facebook Messenger Pay, Patreon, YouTube, Facebook subscriptions, or book your own personal tarot reading, 513-393-2396, or email therealbestdampodcast@gmail.com. I want to say thank you so much, everybody that super chatted tonight. It was Tim Hamby and Still Perjure. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much for that. Thank you, Mist, Cosmic Blue, Still Perjure, Becca Loves Jesus. Great job moderating. Merv, thank you. Affluent for You, Jam Low, Amy VR, Zero Infinity Live, Wake Up People, Wake the F Up, Cosmic Confusion, Jordan Marshall. Wow, lots of oldies but goodies here. James Dunn, thank you so much. I love all of you guys. And check out last week's show and the week before. We've done some pretty good ones the last couple times, and we're going to continue to make them better and better. I got some good occult shows on the way as well. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Peace.